What's up, YouTube? I'm here again today for with another quick little rotary tip video for my FAQ series. Today we're going to be talking about brake fluid and the differences between the different grades of brake fluid. So I have here sitting with me some Motul DOT 5.1 brake fluid. Now you're probably wondering, oh, DOT 5.1, what's the difference between DOT 3, DOT 4, DOT 5, even I believe there's even DOT 6. Actually, I don't think there's DOT 6. I think it's just racing brake fluid at that point. But the difference between brake fluids between DOT 3 and DOT 4 is the temperature at which the brake fluid actually boils at. And the reason why that matters is, okay, say you're a common autocrosser and you want to take your car to your first track day event or something like that. Well, one of the first things that any track instructor or anybody that gets in your car or anybody that takes your car to track is going to say, oh, what brake fluid are you running? And if you don't say DOT 4 at minimum, sometimes they might not let you run. Depending on the car, they might, but most of the time they're probably going to tell you to go to the auto parts store that's 15 minutes away and pick up some DOT 4 fluid and change it out at the track before they let you on the track. Anyways, the biggest difference is the temperature at what it boils at. Now, the reason why DOT 5.1 is such a big thing is you can't use DOT 5 in a normal vehicle system because it's made up with silicon-based fluid, and it actually says right there non-silicon based. So DOT 5 is specifically designed for DOT 5 systems, which usually is race car stuff. So DOT 5.1 will work in your vehicle. Now, the issue with running a higher boiling point brake fluid means you have to flush your system more regularly. DOT 3, people can own a car and own and sell the car without ever changing the brake fluid, because technically they're never going to push the brakes hard enough to ever boil the fluid off. They just top up the fluid every once in a while, and it can look rough after a while. It looks like motor oil eventually, instead of it actually being clear liquid like it's supposed to be. So that DOT 3 is what they put in everything. DOT 4 is pretty much what an autocrosser or, like I said, a track day person would use. The boiling point is raised, I think, like 100 degrees, but with that you have to flush your brake system at least once a year, sometimes even more often than that. Depends really on the humidity level of where you live. So if you live in a really humid area, then you're going to want to flush it more, because DOT 4 will absorb more water into the brake fluid than DOT 3. And the reason why that matters is because you have a dry boiling point and a wet boiling point. So at a dry boiling point, the fluid is going to boil at a much higher temperature than at a wet boiling point. And what is the difference between dry and wet boiling points? Dry boiling point is when the fluid is in its perfect state. So an unopened bottle just like this, you take the lid off and brake fluid is sealed. You pull the seal back and then boom. Now it's, from that point on, this brake fluid is starting to absorb water. And after a period of time, you actually have to just throw it away. If you only use half the bottle and you look at it, and I always write the dates on when I open my brake fluid and say I opened it today. Well, I don't know, 8 months from now, I'm going to look at it and go, oh, I've got a quarter of a bottle left and it's 8 months old. Trash. So you want to be mindful of how much you buy and how quickly you use it. And the reason why, oh shit, I done forgot my train of thought. So with wet boiling points, obviously it's going to boil at a significantly low temperature. And what they consider wet boiling point to be is 3.7% of the volume of the brake fluid. It contains water. So to give you an example of what the difference in wet and dry boiling points for brake fluid is, this is DOT 5.1 again, and this is the minimum boiling points. So the minimum dry boiling point is 500 degrees Fahrenheit, or the wet boiling point is 356 degrees Fahrenheit. That's almost 150 degrees difference. So with, like I was saying with DOT 4, you might have to flush your system every, year or so. With DOT 5.1, it is, I suggest it. I don't know what other people do every 3 months or whatever, but after every track session, you flush your DOT 5.1 out. This stuff really doesn't have any practicality. You wouldn't want to run this in like a street vehicle, something that you drive every day, because there's no reason. It's high dollar stuff. I think this pint was like $30. It's expensive shit when you can go to the auto parts store and pay like $5 for some DOT 3 or $10 for some DOT 4, and it's like one of the really big jugs. But anyways, just wanted to give you a little rundown on why to put, higher grade brake fluid in your system. And when I say flush, I actually mean like, you can't just, I've pumped the system out and just added some of this. No, you actually need to, pull this through until it's, nice clean liquid coming out of it, and you can know that it's DOT 5, because mixing it, it's going to drop the temperature almost drastically at what it boils at, instead of it being the high temperature that it needs to be. But anyways, this is just a fun little video that I figured I would talk about some brake fluids. And if you have any suggestions on things that you would like to learn about, or why I run certain things in my vehicle, let me know in the comments down below. Stay cool, guys. Happy brapping.